The Daniel Arsham Futurecraft 4D is releasing very, very soon. In today's video, we'll be discussing some release info, some background information, how to cop the sneaker, and of course, some resale predictions. Now, I'll leave a time right up here in case you guys want to skip the background info, but for the rest of you, let's jump right into this. So first, looking at the silhouette of this sneaker, we have innovation at its finest. Some of the most notable technological advancements revolving around comfort include Nike Air, Boost, and 4D technology, as we could see. Unfortunately, 4D technology cannot be mass produced as of now. However, in the future, it is expected that it can be mass produced. Not only that, but they can actually have it customized specifically for your individual foot. Now, overall, some features for the 4D shoe itself is that it's lightweight, of course, very comfortable. I've heard that it's not quite as comfortable as Boost, but it's definitely rather comfortable compared to the majority of sneakers. But why don't we jump to this specific colorway, because I'm sure that's why you guys are here. Daniel Arsham's collab with Adidas is actually a lot deeper than it appears to be on the surface. There's a lot of stuff that the majority of you guys don't know about this sneaker. In fact, I myself had no idea that there was this much going on behind this collaboration. So first of all, who is Daniel? Well, he's an artist. Well, he's not just any artist. He has a background in architecture, and he's actually known for something called snarkitecture. Snarkitecture is designing with existing spaces, and for people who use snarkitecture, their goal is to essentially misuse existing architecture so it looks unusual. And we're actually going to get into why he does this and why he was so interested in this in a couple of seconds. So where exactly do these shoes come in? Well, a series that first debuted in 2017 has its final third chapter releasing. This chapter is Future. Now, of course, you might be saying, what the heck is all this? What are these chapters about? Well, essentially, there's 3 chapters. There's, of course, past, present, and also future. Now, Future was actually just released on October 9th, one day before me recording this video. So it's no question really why he chose to work on the Futurecraft 4D. I mean, it's in the name itself. Besides the name itself, of course, if it wasn't called Futurecraft 4D, this is innovation at its finest. Now, in these videos, he explores the concept of time. And what I found most notable throughout all of my research was that throughout his childhood, he used these memories to put into this project. And I think the most interesting thing that I saw was that he actually was heavily affected by Hurricane Andrew and how that destroyed not only his house, but all of the houses surrounding him. And you can actually see this illustrated in chapter 1 of the series. For all these videos, I'll leave them linked down below for those of you who really care about this sneaker. And of course, if you've ever seen a house that was damaged by a hurricane or really any natural disaster, you could see why he was so interested in this type of design. He was simply able to express his memories throughout his work. But anyway, that's the conclusion. That's all I wanted to say about this sneaker. But these shoes will be releasing on October 12th for $450. Yeah, I know, guys, it's a high retail, but don't worry about it. Don't stress about the high retail. We're going to talk about why you really shouldn't worry about that retail price as we jump to the resale predictions portion of the video. Of course, if you want the shoe for personal wear, it's a different story, but let's jump to the how to cop portion of the video. So how to cop them. Let's talk about how you could get your hands on a pair of these. First thing we're going to be talking about is Adidas.com, because no, it's not exactly just like what we've seen with Yeezy releases. It's quite different, in fact. So, unfortunately, as of now, we don't know if this is going to be a first-come, first-serve like it is with some limited sneakers on Adidas.com, or perhaps if it's going to be a waiting room like we often see with the human races. So right now, if you go onto the product page and say like Europe or Canada, it appears to be a first-come, first-serve. I'm going to show you how to do this on your own so you could check at any time throughout the day. So I'm going to walk you through this step by step, and it's going to be extremely easy. All you're going to have to do is make sure you're on Google Chrome, then you want to go to the product page. Then you want to right click on the product page, or I believe on Mac you actually have to click with 2 fingers, and then you want to select view page source. Once you do that, you're going to want to click Command F or Control F, depends if you're on Windows or Mac. And of course, this is something that you may have used in, say, history class or English class when you're in a hustle and you're really trying to finish that English paper quick and you don't feel like reading an entire article. Well, you use Command F to narrow down everything with the keywords you're typing in. In this case, the keywords we're typing in our waiting room product. You can really just type in waiting room if you want, but what we're looking for is waiting room product. And right next to the colon, you will see that it will say true or false. Now, if it says false, that means it's going to be a first come, first serve. If it says true, however, that means it will be a waiting room product. That means there will be a waiting room, or I guess you could refer to it as the splash page for what we see with Yeezys. Now, the only issue with viewing it as of now, and this is why I'm explaining it right now so you guys could do this on your own, is because it doesn't usually change, if it changes at all. It doesn't change until 20 minutes to an hour out from the release. So it could be first come, first serve up until the very last half hour or so, and you might not really know. Hence, I'm telling you this, so a half hour out from the release, depending where you're from, you could check it yourself. So that's how you do it. So let's go over if it's going to be a first come, first serve, or if it's going to be a waiting room. So hypothetically, if it were to be a first come, first serve, I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to want to be as fast as possible. Of course, just some quick tips would include that you should be signed in for a first come, first serve. Then you should also have autofill already set up. You should refresh with Command R on Mac or F5 on Windows so you could keep your mouse hovering over the size selection. It won't save you much time, but you know, everything counts when you're facing bots. And then you should also avoid using PayPal. I know PayPal does work for some of you guys, but the issue is that it takes you to a different page, and when it comes to a release like this that's extremely hype, I wouldn't really risk doing that. If you have a credit card, I would suggest using that instead. Now, hypothetically, if it were to be a waiting room, of course, you guys know what to do here. We're going to be using the multiple people jig. It's going to work. Now, I'm not going to explain how to do the multiple people jig if you happen to be new, just because I literally just explained it 2 days ago. So if you really are completely confused, feel free to check out that video, but I'm not explaining it again because I feel like it would be insulting to my subscribers who've been here for a while, who have to constantly rehear the same thing over and over again. So anyway, moving on, you're definitely going to want to create tons of users, more than ever before really, just because there's so little stock on these that if you don't get in early enough, chances are you're probably not going to get a pair. I would expect the sellout time for these to be probably very similar to what we saw with the size 16 creams. So yeah, that's going to be pretty quick, guys. Now, if you happen to get in the waiting room somewhat late, you will notice you're going to get the captcha loop. You're not going to be able to add some sizes to cart. And worst of all, you're going to get the processing payment loop as well. All of this is expected, unless, of course, you do get in rather early. So I'm honestly not expecting most of you guys to cop. I'm not even expecting myself to cop. Unlike on Yeezy releases where I could say, oh yeah, we're definitely all going to cop. I'd say I'm going to get at least multiple pairs. You guys are all going to get multiple pairs. Unfortunately, I love to stay confident, guys, but I'm also a realist. I really don't think that the majority of us will end up copying. But you know, we're going to be trying because there are going to be some people who cop. Anyway, Europe will be releasing these at 4 a.m. Eastern time. If it happens to be a waiting room, it will open up slightly before that, but stock will go live at 4 a.m. Then for Canada, it's the same deal, but stock goes live at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. And then for US, there's no product page as of now. There is an informative page. You can feel free to check that out. All you really have to do is type in Daniel Arsham into the search bar, and it will take you there. But as of now, as of me recording this video, there is no product page. I am expecting the product page to come up very soon, before the 12th, of course. And if it does, the release will occur at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So now you guys know how to check if it's going to be a first come, first serve or a waiting room. And now you guys know how to deal with both instances, because it could go down either way, of course. Now moving on, I did want to talk about 2 campouts that I found. OTH Boutique, the locations will be on the screen for them. And then also Soulbox Berlin and Vienna. Now I'm just going to be honest, guys. Now if you happen to show up at 1 a.m. local time or 3 a.m. local time and you're not one of the first 10 people there, I would highly recommend getting out of there, going home, and not wasting your day. Of course though, be careful. These are expensive shoes. People say they're just shoes, but honestly, it's more than that when you're considering some people are using these to pay for their rent. Now moving on, there will be some 3 a.m. Eastern time releases. Unfortunately, as of now, the only one I know of is Foot Patrol, and that's not exactly confirmed. There's no product page as of now. But the owner of Restock Times actually posed an interesting theory to me, and that was essentially whenever the image for the shoes with this specific background does load up, they do tend to release via the queue on the website. And honestly, this has been pretty consistent for the most part, so I would suggest at least checking the site at 3 a.m. Eastern time to see if there's a queue. And of course, I do believe there will also be some other 3 a.m. Eastern time releases that pop up. If they happen to, I'll tweet them out. And also, since it is a queue, it's a randomized process, you can use the multiple people jig, but Foot Patrol tracks your IP address, so expect to get IP banned It's a soft ban, so don't worry, you're not completely banned forever. And also, it takes a decent amount of time to get banned, so I actually copped the Court Purples and Pine Greens off of here, and then got banned like 20 minutes later. So, I mean, you could still use it, just expect to get banned a little later, don't be frightened. And then also, I believe that Kith is a possibility for 10 a.m. Eastern Time, sometimes 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And if any more pop up, I'll be sure to let you guys know on Twitter. My Twitter is KeithAdam10. I did actually tweet out a bunch of raffles for you guys. I believe if you guys are watching this video soon enough, there's still some that haven't expired, but for the most part, they all have expired. I suggest for future reference, following my Twitter, just because I do post those raffles, it's very easy for you guys to sign up. But from that, why don't we move on to the resale predictions for these shoes, because I know a lot of you guys are very skeptical, and it makes sense. The shoes are $450, and for some of those raffles, it's even more than $450 because they're in either a different currency, shipping is ridiculous, or stuff like that. All I'm gonna say is don't worry when it comes to these. They should be profitable for the most part. Of course, it is your decision, you know, buy at your own risk, but if you're just going based off of my opinion, I do think that these are going to be profitable just because, one, they're extremely limited. Not only that, but the demand on these is extremely higher than a lot of the other 4Ds that have released that didn't do so well. For instance, the one I have on the screen right now, I completely forgot the name of it. I think they're called the Alpha Edge or something like that. They didn't really do so hot. Granted, they were still profitable. It just really wasn't a lot of profit, maybe like 20 bucks after fees. But there wasn't a lot of demand on those compared to these. There's a lot of demand. Not only because it's a collaboration, not only because there's this cool story behind it, but because Futurecraft 4Ds just generally have a lot of hype around them. I would expect resale to be somewhere around $700 to $900 depending what size you get. Of course, this is also a conservative estimate, so I'm kind of expecting it to be a little more, but you know, anything could happen. Basically though, moral of the story, if you're paying $450 for them or even slightly more, you should be able to profit. And I know some of you guys might be a little worried, you might be skeptical. That's fair. Feel free to sit this one out. But with that, I'm going to conclude today's video. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed or if you perhaps learned a thing or two. Make sure you subscribe and turn on post notifications to stay updated on these shoes and really any other shoe that's releasing in the future. With that though, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
So hard, I don't want to talk. Get your foot off my foot. Ah.
Get your foot off my foot. Yeah.
Why are you always in my way, knocking me over every single day? Get your foot off my foot. Ah.
Get your foot off my foot. Yeah.
I should have run the other way. Now there's just one thing to say. Get your foot off my foot. Ah.